Hello, I'm Vivi Mackinder and welcome to Concave Layers. Today we're going to explore how to create a beautiful layered shape. You can see here I'm starting off by establishing my outline, which is a little tricky when she doesn't have any shoulders and she only has a pole stuck up her you-know-where. What's important about this hairstyle is the sectioning. This is my favorite sectioning for bobs and for perimeters because what it does is it allows for an even amount of hair to hang around the perimeter because we're compensating for where the hair does not live behind the ear. Try this sectioning on many of your styles. You'll really enjoy it. Here you can see the diversity of a concave hairstyle and you can see that it's a great commercial look, and I know you'll have many clients who will absolutely love it. So in establishing our outside shape, just a nice strong line, this entire hairstyle is going to be cut with the scissors. And you can see here, keeping my line very square. So combing the hair behind what would be imaginary shoulders. So that means it is a very square shape, slightly longer towards the front. Therefore, the client has lots of volume and fullness, which again allows for volume in an area where the hair does not grow. Another game changer, measuring the angle versus the length. How many times do you get confused when you measure just a strand? When you measure the angle, it's amazing. So try that on your hairstyles today. Establishing the length, not just layering without really thinking about where do I want my shortest part of my hair and where's that going to fall around the face? And how is that going to be as I glide from the face into my outline shape? So you can see here by stepping back, I can see the silhouette, and that's so important to look at the total balance of the layers. So what I'm going to do is establish my layer, and my outline shape for the facial framing is going to be achieved by what I do inside with the layers. So what I'm doing here is following my line from my established length at the fringe, and I'm going to work all the way through the center of the head, layering through. Now this is another game changer. Immediately study how the hair falls and start styling the shape now. So I've only cut one section, but I'm evaluating, do I like the length? Do I like the balance? How is the hair laying? Because believe it or not, the hair is talking to me. Now, if you're so busy in conversation with your client, you may not be able to see or hear what the hair is actually saying, and it is saying something. See, I just took that a little bit shorter, and that's made a difference. So you have to work with the end in mind. You have to think of detail and big picture. And as I'm coming through here, I'm not on top of my hairstyle, because when I'm on top of the hairstyle, I can't see my shape. So as I'm working through here, I'm going right the way through the center, the spine of the hairstyle. That is the shortest part of my concave. Make that a narrow section, otherwise your concave will be too wide in the center. Again, visualize where are you going. So all we're doing is following through with our section here and connecting through from the back right the way through that center panel to establish front to back connection, to establish the center of the concave, and then from there I will be able to then do the full concave. Now what's the value of a concave? Shorter layers on the inside and leaving weight in the perimeter. So it's not so much of your typical shag, and that's very important to understand. So I have my center established. Now I have my focal points to consider as I start to now connect and angle upwards to create my shorter to longer angle. So if I overdirect and angle my fingers, the angle is extreme. If I hold my hands at an angle and comb the hair straight, it will be a steep angle. And if I just overdirect and hold my fingers straight, it's a soft angle. So what you have to consider is how much you can over-direct. Where are your focal points? Is it to the ceiling? Is it to the window? Is it to the floor? And with a concave, it's to the ceiling. So if you have the same focal point on both sides, you stand a really good chance of making both sides the same. So therefore, when you're deciding to concave, the question is, how short do you want the inside, and what is that going to do to the skull shape? How much volume will you create around the skull? When you are creating your over-direction angle, and you can see here we have our focal points, and we are combing the hair up, and I'm angling again to my focal point. The further away I pull from my perimeter outline, the heavier and the chunkier the perimeter will be. As you can see in this other image on the other side, I'm matching the angle on left and on right. Now, with a concave, you're going to find one side easier than the other, depending on whether you're left-handed or right-handed, and depending on which side of your hairstyle is your strongest part of your hairstyle. So here you can see again our focal points. Standing at the front, I can see my angle. I take time to observe it before I cut, so I'm not working blindly. You can see the hair's being held straight up from the head, and I'm lifting, and what I want you to really do is be very mindful of where am I pointing. Again, design while you are cutting and building your shape. Study how the hair is laying. Don't leave this to the end. My goal with a hairstyle is to constantly check, cross-check, style while I'm cutting, so that when I'm finished my haircut, I'm truly finished. I don't go in and do a second haircut. Today I feel that we do too much detailing at the end of a hairstyle, where if we were to be more mindful and stop and observe during the process, we'd have less to do at the very end. So I encourage you to style while you design. So this is a good example from one of my collections of a really pretty soft haircut that has pretty layers going through there and a nice sense of relaxation. So this particular hairstyle has a great texture, but it has less weight in the perimeter. So this is much more layered around into the outline shape as opposed to pulling away. As we go into the back, we have our guideline that we've already established through the center back. So now, as we lift and over direct, we're connecting through that center section. In a layered hairstyle, it's easy to get lost. Also in a layered hairstyle, if there are slight mistakes, they can be very easily hidden, especially if you use a curling iron at the end. But mistakes really should not live there, because a well-constructed hairstyle will grow out well and will be very easy for your client to maintain at home. So when we're working through here, find a place that's comfortable. So check out, is it better behind or in front? Make sure that you've sectioned out your opposite side so you do not cut into your opposite side. That's very easy for it to happen. And remember, the concave layers allow for a short internal layer, leaving weight around the perimeter. And you can concave anywhere you wish within the interior part of a hairstyle. So it's really, really fun, and they can be sometimes quite challenging and difficult. But what is really good about a concave is it allows for lots of length around the ear. So if your client's got jug handles for ears, this is a really good hairstyle. And if she's also a little thin around the facial framing area, maybe she's had 3 facelifts and her hairline has gone so far back now that she's always looking surprised, one of those ladies. So anyway, if she doesn't have much hair there, then this is a good hairstyle. Bowie is a pretty cool hairstyle too. You can check that out within our haircut series. That has a circular concave at the crown, which is really difficult. So let's get this simple one established first, and then you can use your creativity and do something pretty special. So you can see here we're gliding through. Now on the second side, we're going up again to the same focal points. So wouldn't it be great if you could like suspend balloons from your chair on strings so that you could point to the balloons? Actually, that's kind of a cool idea, isn't it? So that's the V that we're doing. And again, the same focal point. So just imagine if I flattened my hand and I aimed towards, I look like I'm flying here. Oh, my arms are hurting me. I've been in the business a long time, you know. But anyway, just imagine if I didn't point to the same focal point, I'd have one side shorter than the other. Cross-checking is so important, and as I mentioned in the very beginning of this tutorial, measure your angle versus your length. A length can sometimes throw you off where an angle is more exact. So you see, elbow up, not a flat elbow for this hairstyle. Now this is really cool. This is another great tip. God, this video is full of tips, isn't it? Right, so here you can see I'm checking out my length on the other side. So before I go any further, look, a quick reality check. Because even though I have long fingers, they're not that long. I can't grab the hair on the other side to see. So if you do that, you're going to find you, again, save time. Work smart, not hard. It's tough enough being a hairdresser. So if you can work smarter versus harder, I highly, highly recommend it. So we're actually working towards our front, lifting, over-directing. Notice the same focal point again, which is so critically important. Lifting all the way through. So the facial framing that we establish here is from the inside of the hairstyle. For any of you who've watched a lot of my tutorials, you know how much I love to start a haircut around the face because I feel that's the most important thing. How it fits the face shape, how it fits the bone structure, how it fits the shape of the neck is everything to me. And layers are so important in terms of where that layer sits. So here you can see the concave. It is actually steeper than it would appear in here because the sides are kind of curling and wrapping around my finger. But you can see I have a shorter interior and a longer exterior. So now as I'm coming through into my back, again checking through and angling again. So as long as I always connect to the same center section, which was the center of the concave. And look at this here, another great tip. Here it comes. Again, I'm looking at my length there and asking myself, okay, stand square, and is it the same? So when we have choices in our layers, do check out in our fundamentals in cutting within the designer program where to stand and how to stand to control your hairstyle. Another thing I want you to be so mindful of, the difference in the value of a concave over a square layered hairstyle. Where do you want the weight to sit and why? There are so many different ways to layer into a chunky perimeter or into a soft perimeter. This is a really good example of rounded layers where we round all the way through. So let's recap. We established our baseline first, then we established around the front, we then created our center spine, and then we started to work on our concave, always connecting from the center back. We established how steep we want our angle to be. Extreme angle means over direction and angling fingers. Steep angle is combing the hair up straight and twisting your fingers into this steep angle. A soft angle is simply over directing and holding your fingers square. So the question of the angle is density of hair and the contrast in length from the shortest part of the hairstyle to the longest part of the hairstyle. So that's why you need to do the reality check that I did do when I started the hairstyle. So here we are, blow drying, and we're going to put this into fast motion here. I haven't got the jitters, I promise. So this hairstyle is naturally finished just by natural air dry with very little product in the hair, just a little tiny bit, just to give some texture. But you can see here I'm doing finish around the perimeter. So there's definitely the client out there who likes to have a natural look, but she wants a little bit more finish around the face. Notice here I'm changing the root direction, and as I blow dry away, what I'm going to do is get the hair to open out, and it starts to immediately open the face, and it just gives more polish and finish to a hairstyle that has a natural look. Here you can see our natural texture in the back, combing it through and scrunching. Now as we go into our second side, again changing the root direction root direction is very often negated, and how the hair hangs and where it lives is dependent upon the roots. So by opening the hairstyle out, we create a lovely effect, and that's a huge contrast between where we began and what we have right now. Let's talk about scrunch drying. Very important in how you select your product. A lightweight gel does work nicely as long as you can comb it through. Some people don't want that crispy look, so maybe a mousse with some moisture in it would be very, very good. But when you're diffusing, you want to be very, very mindful of scrunching, and if you move the diffuser around a lot, you will get fuzz. So in here, I have the hair that is sort of partially dry, and so what I'm doing is I'm just freshening it up. But if I was to go from wet to dry, I would nestle the diffuser into the hair and not move it around too much. Now what I'm doing here is undoing and creating texture at the root. So I'm intentionally creating a little bit of an undoneness. What I think is really important to understand is what kind of curl pattern you want. Are you going to go in with your curling iron? And then do you want to diffuse at the end to undo it? Are you going to work with the natural curl of the client and not disturb the curl while you're working? So determine what shape of curl you want. Determine whether you're going to do it with a round brush or a curling iron. And then you can work from there. So I'm now going to take this same haircut and show you it smooth. And here you can see really working on my root direction and then twisting the hair. So what's important about this hairstyle is not having volume at the roots. So you can see all the way through here, keeping it smooth. The 3 wheels of fashion are always my guide for haircut and for finishing, and of course for color. Is my client an introvert or an extrovert? Do I want to make my blow dry large and more glamorous or small and quiet? And as you can see from these images here, we have very simple and plain, a little bit more edgy, and then we have the hairstyle that we're doing today. The 3 wheels of fashion will guide you as to how quiet or loud to make your blow dry. What is the fashion and lifestyle of your client? Is she bohemian, glamorous, rock and roll? And the sensuality of the woman. Is she more comfortable being undone and boyish, or is she more comfortable being sexy or glamorous, or does she want to be feminine? It's very important because the finish, when it's polished, is more glamorous. The finish, when it is more relaxed, can be more soft and more feminine. So it's very important when you blow dry these basic layered haircuts that you add the magic from the 3 wheels of fashion. So now you can see I have blow dried the hairstyle, but now I'm going in with a little bit of hydration and I'm diffusing the hair. So what this does is it disrupts, and I'm trying to create a little bit more of an undone effect and some more relaxation. So this undone compresses, it makes it look more modern. And the danger when you go into more curl and texture in a haircut like this, you don't want it to look too 80s. So the bigger the hairstyle looks, the more retro it looks. So my suggestion is keep it smaller around the skull and keep the volume around the cheekbone and the jawline. So here we have in our final options, we have polished, finished, and undone, relaxed, facial framing finish, and natural. Each one of these looks is gorgeous, and the big question is, where does your client live within the 3 wheels of fashion? Is she introvert, extrovert? Where does she live in fashion itself? Is she rock and roll or is she bohemian? Where does she live? Is she classic? And the sensuality of the woman. Where is she comfortable? Remember, the sensuality of a woman is how you feel about being a woman. Introvert and extrovert's an extension of your personality, how quiet or loud you want to be. The fashion that you choose from the clothes that you wear and the hair accessory that you wear on your head, your hairstyle, are a reflection of your personality. When you design from the inside out, you will have a very happy client. Thank you so very much for watching. I hope you found this valuable. You know what to do. Create your own version of this and don't forget, photo journal your work. Bye for now.